So hi guys, today I'm going to summarize the chapter 9 transport layer. Um, Data networks of and the internet support the human network by supplying reliable communication between people. So on single device, people can use multiple application and services such as email, the web, and instant messaging to send message or retrieve information. So from the from each of these application is packaged, transport and delivered to the appropriate application on the destination device. So for the first, so so the rule of the transport layer. So the transport layer, it is responsible for establishing a temporary communication session between two applications and delivering data between them. So an application generates data that is sent from application to on a source host to an application on destination host. So this is without regard to the destination host type, so the type of media over which the data must travel, the path taken by the data, the congestion on the link, or the size of the network. So the next one is transport layer responsibilities. So we have here the tracking individual conversation, segmenting data and reassembling segments, identifying the application. So the first one is the tracking individual conversation. So at the transport layer, so each of set of data flowing between a source, application, and destination, application is known as conversation. So a host may have multiple applications that are communicating across the network simultaneously. And for the segmenting data and reassembling segments, so data must be prepared to be sent across the media in manageable pieces. So most network have a limitation on the amount of data that can be included in a single packet. So most network have a limitation to amount of data that can be included in a single packet. So transport layer protocol have a um, so it have a service that segment the application data into blocks that are an appropriate size for the identifying the application. So to pass the data streams to the proper application, the transport layer must identify the target application. So we have here the error checking, segmentation, and multiplexing. It is the transport layer service. So error checking, it can be performed on the data in the segment to check if the segment was charged during the transmission. The segmentation, it facilitates data transport by the lower network layer. For the multiplexing, multiple application can use the network at the same time. So the transport layer reliability. So the transport layer, it is also responsible for managing reliability requirements of conversation. So different application have different transport reliability requirements. And the TCP, so TCP transport is a analogous to sending package that are tracked from source to destination. If a shipping order is broken up into several package, a customer can check online to see if the order of the order of the delivery. So there are three basic operation of reliability. So it is the numbering and tracking data segments transmitted to specific host from a specific application, and the other one is acknowledging received data, and the last one is retransmitting any unacknowledged data after a certain of time. Then the UDP. The UDP. So UDP, it provides the basic function for delivering data segments between the appropriate application. So with very little overhead and data checking, so UDP is known as the best effort delivery protocol. So in the context of networking, best effort delivery is referred to as unreliable because there's no acknowledgement that the data is received and the destination. For the next one, so the required protocol properties for the UDP and the TCP. So for the UDP, it is required protocol properties is fast, low overhead, does not require acknowledgement, does not resend lost data, deliver data as it arrives, and requires protocol properties for the TCP. It's reliable, um, acknowledge acknowledge data, resends lost data, and delivers data in sequence order. So we have the establishing a session. So establishing a session, it is a TCP. TCP is a uh, connection oriented protocol. So a connection oriented protocol is one that negotiate and establish a permanent connection or session between source and destination device prior to forwarding any traffic. So the reliable delivery. So in network terms, reliability means ensuring that each segments that the source send arrives at the destination. So for many reasons, it is possible for the segment to become corrupted or lost completely as it's transmitted over the network. So the same order delivery, because networks may provide multiple routes that can have different transmission rates, data can arrive in the wrong order or by numbering and sequencing the segments. So TCP can ensure that these segments are reassembled into proper order. So the flow control. So network hosts have limited resources such as memory and processing power. So when TCP is aware that the resources are overtaxed, it can request that the sending application reduce the rate of data flow. So as you can see in it has a source port, sequence number, acknowledgement number, header length, reserve, control bits, window size, checksum, urgent. So destination port and others. So the source port which has 16 bits and destination port which has 16 bits, it is used to identify the application. And for the sequence number which has 32 bits, it's used for data reassemble purposes. And acknowledgement number which has 32 bits also, it indicates data have received and the next byte expected from the source. And the header length which has a 4 bits, known as data offset, indicates the length of TCP segment header. For the reserved, which has 6 bits, this field is reserved for the future. And control bits, it has includes bits codes or which has 6 bits. So it include bit codes or plugs, so which indicate the purpose and function of the TCP segment. So the window size has 16 bits, so it indicates the number of bytes that can be accepted at one time. The checksum, which has 16 bits, used for error checking of the segment header and data. Urgent, which has 16 bits, so it indicates if data is urgent. So the next one, features. So user datagram protocol, or the UDP, is considered as what I said, best effort transport protocol. So UDP is a lightweight transport protocol that offers the same data segmentation and reassemble as TCP, but without segmentation and reassemble. So but without TCP reliability and flow control. So UDP is such a simple protocol that is usually described from terms of what it does not confer to the TCP. So the UDP header. Um, so UDP is a stateless protocol, meaning that neither the client nor the server is obligated to keep track of the state of the communication session. So if reliability is required when using UDP as a transport protocol, it must be handled by the application. So the next one is the source port. So the source port is a number dynamically generated by sending device to identify a conversation between two devices. To identify a communication between the two devices. So this process allows multiple conversation to occur simultaneously. So it is common for device to send HTTP service request to a server at the same time. So destination port. So the client places a destination port number in the segment to tell the destination server what service is being requested. So for example, when a client specify port 80 in the destination port, the server that received the message knows the web service are being requested. So a server can offer more than one service simultaneously, such as web service on port 80 at the same time that it offers file transfer protocol, or the FTP, connect establishment on the port 21. There are different type of port number, which is a well-known port and registered port. So a well-known port, this number are so a well-known port, this number are reserved for services and applications. So they are commonly used for applications such as web browser, email clients, remote access clients. And for the registered ports, these port numbers are assigned by IANA to a requesting entity to use with specific process or application. So it all I forgot to include, but the it has the other port, which is the dynamic or private port. So it is also known as the ep- ephemeral ports. So these are usually assigned dynamically by the client OS when connection to a service is initiated. So the dynamic port is then used to identify the client application during the communication. So TCP connection is established in three steps. So step one is the initiating client request a client to server communication session with a server. Then second step is the server acknowledge the client to server communication session and request a server to client communication session. Step 3 is the initiating client acknowledge the server to client communication session. So that the three-way handshakes. So the three-way handshake, the first, so it established that the destination device is present on the network. Um, it verifies that the destination device has an active service and is accepting requests on the destination port number that the initiating client intend to use. And to inform the destination devices that the source client intends to establish a communication session on the port number. So the next one is application that use TCP. So you can see in this has the IP on below, then the middle is the TCP, and it has the HTTP, FTP, SMTP, and the Telnet. So um, TCP is a great example of how different layers of the TCP or IP protocol suite have specific rules. So TCP handles all the tasks associated with the dividing data stream into segments, providing reliability, controlling data flow, and reordering the segments. So there are three types of application that are best suited for UDP. So the first one is live video and multimedia application. So it can tolerate some data loss but require little or no deny. Example include VoIP and live streaming video. So that's for the live video and multimedia application. Then the next one is simple request and reply application. So this application with a simple transaction where host send a request and may or may not receive a reply. So example include DNS and the DHCP. So for the last one, application that handle reliability themselves. So unidirectional communication where flow control, error detection, acknowledgement, and error recovery is not required or can be handled by the application. So example include the SNMP and the TFTP. Also, I want to include that the transport layer provides transport-related services by dividing data received from an application into segments and adding a header to identify and manage each segment, and using the header information to reassemble the segment back into application data, passing the assembled data to the correct application. So, the UDP and TCP are common transport layer protocols. So, UDP datagrams and TCP segment have headers added in front of the data that includes a source port number and destination port number. So, this port number enable the data to be directed to the correct application running on the destination computer. So, that's all for chapter 9, transport layer. So, I hope you learn again in the chapter 9 summary, which is entitled transport layer. So thank you guys again for watching.